Yeah. Yeah, no, you're all good.
All right, let's see here. Where were we last time? Let's put this together. We said we need a projection service. Okay, let's see here. So yeah, last time, well, first of all, how's PHP doing?
PHP fine. Everything else pain.
Ah. So just out of curiosity, you said there is an artifactory in PHP, and this artifactory is let me fix my mic here real quick. You can still hear me, right?
That sounds better.
Okay. So so you said there is an equivalent of an artifactory in PHP, and that's how you basically pull libraries, I guess, right?
So there's Composer.
Oh,
That's a well-known one.
in PHP. Let's see, what is that? Compose. Oh, that. Why does that look familiar? Getting started, download, browse packages. And you get to browse packages and you put the packages that you require, and then everything is working, right?
Yeah, you don't have to do it in the raw JSON. The CLI can do that.
Okay, with the CLI, okay. But then if if someone is pulling your project, how do they know what packages your project needs?
It does create a JSON file. I'm just saying you don't have to write that yourself.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, okay. Yeah, PHP is interesting, man.
It's
Let's
improving.
see. Unit
It's got
test.
some way to go, but it's slowly making its progress.
And there's unit testing libraries for it and
Hmm.
everything.
Yep.
PHP unit, the PHP testing framework. Joe, have you ever played with PHP before? PHP unit.
No, someone tried asking me to work on it, and I said no.
Hard
This
no.
was like a year into programming, and I'm like, I don't like the look of this at all.
Fair. Fair enough.
Oh, how wise of a decision you made. So let me tell you, I did dabble in PHP a little. The one thing about PHP, um, um, the one thing about the language is that, uh, you know, back then, people would use PHP like as part of WordPress or the other platform that Joomla. Joomla was
Yeah.
very popular back then, and there was also another one that was really, really popular, and people would say, "Oh, I can write modules," as part of a. I was working in this marketing company, and all they did is that they offered web design and web services on top of their marketing services as like kind of a bonus out of the box service. And they wanted to get something out fast because that's how they made their deals, right? Oh, we just put together something and slap in there a couple of logos and maybe we need a module for registration, and that's pretty much it. But you'd be surprised, like when I was 17, 18, I wrote an entire customer DSL customer internet customer management system in PHP. And I'll tell you something about PHP for people who you know are new. It's forgiving. It doesn't really you know bark at you a lot. When you're making mistakes, it'll be like, well, let me see. It's like the JavaScript of the backend. That's PHP, right? And then people came up with Node, and they made it, kind of even weirder.
Then they
It.
literally made it JavaScript for the back end.
Wait, did you say you're using JavaScript for the backend?
No. I said that it came along, then they literally made JavaScript on the
Yeah,
back.
that's what Node is. They made JavaScript for the backend. How crazy is that? Right? That's insane, right? Anyway, I guess long story short, it's very interesting to see, I don't remember seeing any unit testing frameworks for PHP in 2002, something like that. There was nothing like that. But also, in all honesty, most of the frameworks that we have today, they didn't really exist. I mean, 2002, C Sharp just entered the market. All we did was Java, and it was chatty and it was annoying, but here we are. Is PHP functional yet, Ash? Is it functional programming language yet?
Don't think it's considered functional.
Does it have a hint of function like lambdas and pattern matching or anything like that?
I'm not sure. I think we
Yeah,
get anonymous functions in some cases come PHP 9.
awesome. Awesome. Here's Sam. Hey Sam, how are you?
Hi, good.
How's your internet doing today?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Let's
Mm.
build this projection service together, okay? Let's just, shoot a couple of ideas and see. Let me find OData Neo project here. Here's OData Neo, and let's just go into this guy. So just a reminder, before we just to get everyone up to speed, what we basically were discussing last time is to have a projection service. And this projection service, what it basically going to be doing is that it's going to take a bunch of or an array of tokens and basically process these tokens and turn them into O nodes if we want them to. We could keep the exact same model and let it process on the exact same model. That's fine too. We can definitely transform that. So this is just a reminder from our last session. We said here is here's my tokenization service, here's my projection service, and maybe there's the OData node service. And the projection service, the only thing the projection service is doing is that it's just filtering things further. So there's one that will identify nodes in terms of, or the O tokens in terms of OData parsing, and then the other one is the OData node service, which is the one that's going to order these tokens in a way that makes sense for OData specific, query. So what that basically means, my expectation is that if you have, let's go back to OData Neo here real quick. If you have now we get to create a new branch, yay, because, we already merged our previous branch, I think. Let me double check just to make sure, did we actually merge our OData Neo branch or not? Let's see,
No,
Neo. We didn't? Then that's what we have to do
I
then.
didn't.
You didn't. Okay, let's see, Sam. Maybe, let's see, where are you guys? Too many tabs, way too many tabs. Okay, let's go here. Here's the pull requests and then foundation tokenization. So what's wrong with this one here? It's basically saying, oh, everything is cleaned up. And I remember Joe actually, this upgrade to .NET 7 merge. Yeah, I think we should be fine. This is merged in. Okay. Okay, let's go back to our new branch here. So go back to the main branch. In here, let's just shoot some ideas together and see if anything sticks. And then we know exactly what needs to happen. We just need to kind of get things in order. Let me increase the percentage on my screen here so just people can see, people on their phones, they can see what we're talking about. Okay. So here is, let's see. All right. So I think this is big enough. I don't know about you guys. I think this is pretty big. Oh, not that much though. Like this, like this. Okay, how about now? You can see everything now, right? I think.
Hmm. We can
Oh, mm, go
we
ahead,
can see
Sam.
the Visual Studio.
You can see Visual Studio, right? That's the platform we want to work with. That's good. We we want Visual Studio, that's for sure. So let me pull
Yeah,
latest from main here.
we want to see your Outlook.
You want to see my Outlook? Hey, speaking of work, I'm gonna come pick you up and we'll go see the tree house. Okay? Maybe instead of a lake house, I'll call it a tree house. Do you wanna see the tree house and eat lunch with me, Sam?
Yeah, I we planned. right? We should do lunch together
We'll,
yesterday.
we'll eat food
Yesterday.
yesterday. Yeah, but yesterday was crazy because I
To
just
have
came back
lunch
from.
Thursday.
So I stood you up. You were kind of stuck, and you waited in the restaurant, and nobody showed up, and the waitress gave you the food for free. Okay.
Not free.
Okay, Sam. Let's try to go to the lake house. Let's go try to go to the tree house together. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Let's see. What's the problem here? This guy here is complaining. Is it saying that I don't have .NET list SDKs? I do have .NET 7 Preview 2. And what it's complaining about here, I'm thinking probably one of these projects don't have the right targeted version. How did it pass the build then, right? Let's see here. This is .NET Core, Neo Core, and this is .NET 7. If I go and rebuild everything, converting, yeah, 3 succeeded. What is this error? Oh, this is that nice error where it goes and says, "Oh, let me think for you." Love it. Disable. Great idea. .NET team, Visual Studio team, love it.
Typo,
Disable.
typo,
Huh?
typo, typo.
Tackle.
Disable.
Oh, disable. Yeah, yeah. Toggle disable. Yes, yes, Sam. So okay. So let's
Double
let's
click.
create an
You type the wrong word.
double click like this. Ooh, okay. I didn't know that.
Disable.
Oh, disable is wrong.
Yeah.
I mean it worked. It didn't recognize the value and defaulted it to disable. Thanks, Sam. Okay. So let's create this new branch, projection service. Okay, so it's users, Hassan, Habib. This is a foundation service, so foundations, projections, service, process. So what is this guy gonna be doing? We need a new service in here, and this service is gonna be under this new folder. So we're gonna call it projections. And this projection service, we need an interface for it. So here's an interface. Projection service. See how easy C# is, Ash? Why do you have to write anything in PHP anyway? Why don't you just convert? Huh?
Hmm.
No,
I thought
nothing.
about learning it and getting into it, but it's just at the moment it's what I work with.
Okay. Where's your buddy, by the way? What happened to him? Did he
Oh,
get in
what are you
trouble?
on about? No camera.
No, your buddy, your
Oh,
Paul.
Paul.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He's not on. He's online, but he's not in chat. So
Oh, okay. So project tokens. And this guy will take O tokens array and just turn it into something more interesting, basically. Okay. Now my
Why
question,
output the O token?
an array of O tokens. What do you want to output?
It should be O node, right?
I'm okay with that. You want to make a
No, I
special
mean you take the O node array and output the O token array again.
yeah, you basically reassign them
Yeah.
new
Okay.
values. But I'm okay with
Anyway,
a new
let's move on.
Sam, I'm okay with a new contract if that's what is needed.
It's
What do
okay.
you
So
think?
you want to project token from one token to another token. It's okay. So I try to learn from you.
I don't know anything. You you came to the wrong place.
you you refreshed. You refresh yourself in the past couple days vacation.
Yeah, I refreshed myself. I went on vacation. Oh man, I ate a lot of food. Like our vacation is the equivalent of like a Thanksgiving where people just eat food mindlessly for no reason. that's pretty much, we just sit there and eat food. I guess, call it Thanksgiving, call it Eid, call it whatever you want to call it. You pretty much gotta eat food. If
Um,
there's a celebration that doesn't have food in it, you're probably at Burning Man or something. You're in the wrong place. Something you just ended up in the wrong people. But anyway, most of, Sam, uh, what do you do with in the new Chinese year? How do you celebrate?
Chinese New Year is we call this festival.
Okay. Let
Typically,
let me
we
mute Paul for a second because he doesn't have. Yeah, there you go. Go
You,
ahead.
you, you called the
Sorry,
date.
guys.
Why?
typically we have go back to our hometown
Uh-huh.
and celebrate with our family together.
Okay.
We will have important dinner together. We call it 年夜饭,
Yeah. Yeah.
and everyone
And-
sit together and have amazing and wonderful and mm, dinner together.
Okay. So food still. Everyone
Yeah,
has to eat food. Yeah, that's
food
it.
is not important. Food
Yeah,
is
it's
not
just
important.
it's just a part
It's
of it.
important is the
Uh-huh.
family sit together.
Uh-huh.
Most of people, for example, brother, sister, uh, is in another city,
Uh-huh.
and we cannot uh, see each other frequently. But
Yeah.
during the Spring Festival, everyone will um, good come to hometown and sit together.
And
Yeah,
just
so
just
food is not important, but to see the
it's
family is
just a
important.
reason. It's an excuse to get people together. That's all, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the British people celebrate. I wouldn't assume they'd celebrate Thanksgiving. Why would they do
Wanting up
that?
Americans mostly.
British doesn't have the Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, they don't. I don't know why.
Because Thanksgiving is special to American.
Yes.
To thanks the food from you know.
Yeah, we're thankful for,
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know what I don't remember what I guess, Paul, do you have a British specific holidays that you
Yeah,
celebrate? What?
yeah. So we've got a bank holiday coming up for the Queen's Jubilee because she's
And you
been the Queen for
say hail the
70 odd years.
something told
Yeah.
me it's gonna have to be something about the Queen. Do you
Yeah.
celebrate anything that's not related to the Queen?
Oh, the Brits will come up with any excuse to celebrate anything, and by celebration we mean like go and get into a pub brawl.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If it involves alcohol, we're involved somehow.
We're a nation of football hooligans, basically.
And we do mean football, not rugby. Just to clarify, that is what you guys play is rugby.
Oh, you mean football?
No. Americans call it soccer, Ash. They
Soccer.
don't get it.
Soccer.
Yes, but football
Yeah.
to them is rugby to us.
Paul, are you a fan?
No, rugby is different. If you've ever
Rugby, you
watched
don't
it,
wear a helmet or anything,
Yeah.
right?
Paul, are you fans of Manchester City?
No, I don't really follow the football. I'm a very odd Brit. I'm not a football fan of any team.
Oh,
I just
laugh at it.
code. That's my thing.
Yeah.
This is the very first time I see a
you are not
British.
typical. You are not a typical British.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
I've never seen anything like that. What is that all about? Did we get a fake Brit? Is that what it is? I
I don't have
ordered.
enough time. I'm too busy implementing the standard. It takes so long.
So,
This guy's.
so when will you show us the codes?
It's all that yak shaving you got to do just to get a service spun up. It's ridiculous.
Enough with the yak shaving. Do you get tired of that nonsense? I remember a long time ago, a very dear and near friend to my heart. His name is Sean Mooney. He basically, he told me about this yak shaving stuff, and I didn't think much of it until Paul came in and he has to let everyone know that he knows what yak shaving is. So he has to say it 50,000 times across 5 different seasons. or episodes
I,
of
I
this.
just spend so much of my time doing it. I can't help it.
That's true. That's right. You know, when you're a junior, you build the stuff that's gonna go in production. When you're in a senior, you clean up what the junior did. You know, you start just kind of refactoring all the stuff that they did. It's true.
Or what the bad senior did in the case of me. I'm the bad senior, so I spend all my time cleaning up
Well,
after
well,
myself.
well, the senior today is the junior from yesterday. You were that junior that screwed things up. Depends on how long you've been at the company. You say you know you see yourself become a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's pretty much
Yeah, I
what.
clearly didn't learn any lessons. I'm still writing bad code, and I still now have to clean it up. That's the only difference.
It's fun when you're in the middle of writing the bad code and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's somebody else's problem to fix it.
Yeah,
As soon as I
commit.
commit it, it's
No.
legacy, right, Hassan?
Yeah, as soon as it goes to production, you know, or like Nick would say, as soon as it goes into the master branch, you know, I think it goes in production. Like as soon as people start using it, it becomes legacy immediately, and that freaks the heck out of people. Like when I say that, especially when you're a tech lead, people are like, "Oh, what are the expenses? How much is it gonna cost?" I'll be like, "It's gonna cost you everything." And people will be I don't know if we made the right choice with that guy. But anyway, eventually people kick and scream, and then at the end of the year, they'll be like, "Oh, thank God we had Hassan. He fixed it all." I'd be like, "I know, right? I'm not working for you anymore. Have a good day." You know, just, just a kind of mic drop, you know.
Can you
Anyway,
record that and upload it as like an episode for us to just sit back and laugh at?
oh man, there's so many stories I could share, man. You know, 21 years, you know, I've seen all kinds
Reddit.
of crazy stuff. Like, I'll tell you this, I worked in this company. You know, I swear to God, I'm not kidding. It was about like 10, 12 years ago. A guy literally would come in and I would say to him, he took a day off and somehow our data is not syncing up. And, he comes in the next day and the problem is gone. I'd be like, something is weird. Why the data syncing up when you're here? It's like, oh, I developed it so I click a button every day in the morning. As soon as I come in, I click the button manually. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. He's like, no, this is engineering. This is people and processes coming together. I'd be like, okay, so the people need to fix that process, or the people are gonna get their ass fired. I'm just letting you know. Just trying to kind of walk you through. You know, that's the equivalent of the TV show The Office. The one that we did better than the British one.
Yeah,
So the
I'll give
British
you that
people.
one. That's true.
That's true, right? I don't know if Paul agrees. I don't think even Paul watches that. Paul, do you know who Ricky Gervais is?
Yeah, I know who Ricky Gervais is. Everybody knows who
Such
Ricky
a
Gervais
nerd.
is. You
He's
can't
just.
not know who he is.
Every Brit knows who he is.
Yeah.
What
He
about
doesn't
Tim
know the name. They
Minchin?
know the face.
Tim is Australian, but you guys just all just together. Here's what's funny though. So British people, right? They sent Australians, people prisoners over to Australia. Sorry, Brian, if you're watching. And then, also the nobles, they ran into America, right? And somehow our accents are very different. Like Australian is much closer to English than American, right?
Have you noticed the pattern there, though? So the British breed big armies of criminals, and then they just send them off to other nations.
Do you have any
Like,
idea?
that's now a British colony, and then later on, it just becomes its own colony. Like,
What's funny is
good.
that the Australians are much more peaceful than Americans can be, supposedly the nobles, but anyway, yeah, I don't know, when I hear Australian folks, it sounds a lot to me like British. That's just my ignorance, like they say Macca's. That sounds like something a British, I know you don't for McDonald's, but just sounds like something a British person would say. Anyway,
Sidewalk.
I yes. I do miss being in England though. I think England is a fun place, especially after midnight where people just start acting weird. Just tell you everything. Hey, what's your social security number? Oh, you guys don't have social security numbers. I don't know what you have out there, but you know. Anyway, So here's what we want to do with this projection service. You know, something that will be produced from the tokenization service. And we want to closely identify these values within the OData. Like in this level here, this is an OData kind of perspective. This is us going and saying, okay, I want to be able to, oh, sorry, it's just an extra layer of identification, not necessarily OData related. And then the OData service is the one that's going to order these tokens in a way that makes sense. So here's just an idea for you. You know, so you're getting a bunch of tokens, and these tokens, you know, let's say you have a separator token, you have a word token, and then maybe separator token. Ideally, what this service is going to go do is that it's going to go and turn this into projections. And these projections are going to be a space, a EQ equivalent, maybe a, you know, name, maybe, you know, I don't know, maybe a comma or something like that, or
Literal. Oh, that's a separator though.
a literal.
Well, I was just thinking of different stuff that it could
Yeah,
possibly be, but
I'm okay.
separator.
I'm
I don't
okay
know.
with that. I'm okay with that. Literal, and then, you know, you basically put whatever is out there. Like, and let me put that separator here. So it will be a word, so a word separator, and then here's another word, right? And then maybe here there's a literal. So sorry, there's a word in here. And what I mean by that, separator, what I mean by that is that would turn into a something like what did we call $ select? You guys, operator, parameter.
No. Yeah, what did we call that?
Parameter, yeah.
Was it
Did we call
parameter?
it a parameter?
It was OData parameter, I believe.
Are you sure, Paul?
Yeah, but this might be too early on in the process. I don't know if we want to. Is this the point where we have some OData knowledge?
Yeah, yeah, your
Identifier for now.
identifier.
I actually had a strange thought about this.
Tell me.
Over the last week or so. So, can we assume from the outset that actually what we're processing is the query string from a URL? Like literally from the get-go.
Like without the tokenization piece?
Yeah.
Why?
Because if we can make that assumption, then we can simplify the problem by splitting on the ampersand character and building effectively a dictionary of parameters, just like query string processing does in ASP.NET, and then processing each parameter effectively, much like what Sam's existing framework already does.
That's what the OData is going to do. The OData service is going to pick up whatever we break apart and go and say, wait, let's for all intents and purposes, let's say this is an OData parameter that you identified, right? The value of this guy that's coming in is $select, right? You're identifying those at this level and then letting the next level kind of build that tree.
Yeah, so before that you'd have your, are we going to include the question mark in the passed in input?
Do we care about the question mark? I don't know. I don't think we should, because the question mark is specific to URLs and it doesn't have to necessarily apply to console application query, for instance, or a gRPC. By the way, Sam, you and I are going to do a session about gRPC. Just you and I are going to just tell people about gRPC. That's a story for another day, maybe next week. But you know, for you guys that if you're not aware, Sam, you know, put out there how you run gRPC on OData. It's pretty cool. I thought it's pretty cool.
I would like to see you and Sam do a bit on authentication and authorization in the standard.
Okay.
That would be really cool. And things like multi-tenancy and how you like break down security context and make security decisions.
Yeah, Sean Pinto only asked me about it like 50,000 times. And then Chris, you know, he was like, when are you going to do security, my dude? And I was like, I don't know anything about software. Why are you asking me that? You know, you came to the wrong guy. I sell lemonade. at a lemon stand. So anyway, so hear me out. This is a word, like this. You're breaking these apart, and then later on you're going and saying, let me build something out of this, that makes sense. This will kind of, we're breaking apart the responsibilities here and letting every single piece does its job individually, separately.
So the assumption is we've got a full OData query, right? So ampersands are a thing, but the question mark isn't.
They're not, yeah. Because think about this, the client could be an ASP.NET, could be a console application, could be a gRPC query, could be anything. And these folks don't necessarily adhere to this question mark.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so anyway, based on the path that we're going down, so projection, we're just manipulating the tokens and giving them a bit more metadata effectively, yeah? And then nodes will define the structure. So that might be the point at which where we have, say, the root node contains a children of a bunch of parameter nodes or something. Right, that makes sense. Sorry, shut up. Stop diverging.
So identification on the tokenization piece, and then and then let's say projection in here, and then ODataization. Done.
Americans and their dictionary term inventions.
I know that would get to you. I knew as I was typing that, I knew that would be like, what is this absolute nonsense? That's not a word. Are you saying that Azurization is not a word? Is that what you're saying, sir?
That's a Hassanism.
That's
I think you would leave the E out in that case.
Yeah, we need to throw the E out. That's right. So we say nonsense, but we're correct and consistent in our nonsense. Just like this guy the other day, I was talking to someone and they said, well, the data's garbage, it's not working. But when I go to talk to the developers, they say it's the data's bad, but it's consistently bad though. So that's okay.
Yeah.
How do you sit there and laugh at PHP with this?
That's part of the cap.
That's part of the cap.
That's actually still valid to laugh at PHP, even with this.
I think also with ODataization, I think you have to add a T.
ODataization.
Datization, isn't it? I would have to look up the rules with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's now a rule for fake words. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's rules for everything.
Doesn't surprise me.
So let me ask you this, Paul. Have you heard of clapback?
Put a trap.
Clapback meaning that responded to a verbal, accusation. He clapped right back at them.
Yeah.
What about no caps?
I've never heard that one.
No
That's an American one,
exaggerations. No exaggeration.
In what planet does that make sense?
Just so you know, that's more like that's Gen
to a Brit,
Z
that just
language.
means don't shout, right?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
caps, like no
In
caps
tech.
lock. Yeah, no exaggeration, That's more like Gen Z. Like Joe might be as disgusted by this as you guys, because anybody born in the 80s, will look at this and be like, that's not English, But that's the
So-
thing about go ahead.
Are you saying people say no caps to each other?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or are you saying
no
they
caps.
text?
Weird.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no caps. They'll say dead ass, no caps.
Yeah, those guys are PHP devs. It's fine.
Dead ass. Dead ass, no caps.
Oh.
The
Like
other
a
one is
confirm
when
even-
people describe emojis to each other, like
Uh-huh.
happy face. And I'm like, just say happy.
Yeah.
I can confirm even PHP guys don't do that.
Uh-huh.
Because they're lazy.
Exactly.
What about this one? Stan. Do you guys know what that means? Stan.
Reminds me of on the buses.
So Stan, someone who's a Stan is like a stalker fan.
What? Why don't you just call them a creep? That's normal.
Wait, is that
We
the
have a word
same,
called
or is that
creeper
different?
for that.
Is that the same as a simp?
What?
A simp is worse because a simp doesn't have to stalk you to simp out to you. You know what I mean? You know, but okay. Let me try this one then. Let me try
I think
this
I
one.
got the definition of simp wrong.
What about this, guys? What about Dank? This thing is Dank.
I've heard that one.
Oh, I've heard that one. Yeah.
Dank meaning awesome, right?
Yeah.
So early 2000 people used to say redonkulous here in America. Oh man, that's so
Early 10s they started saying
redonkulous.
sick.
Right? All right.
Yeah, if it's really good, it's the dog's bollocks.
What about TFW or SIPT? SIPT basically, see, you're British people, but you won't get that one. SIPT meaning like spill the gossip. Tell me what happened.
What?
I know. I love how Ash is like, what?
Now I
We
see
don't-
why people
we
like
don't
Google
speak the
have
same
problems with
language,
natural
mate.
language processing.
But PHP is all slang, so this should be just like common for you, right, Ash?
It's almost like a bunch of nut jobs just made it all up one day.
Yeah,
They
but
did. They
We're
were
not meant to
Americans.
follow some rules. This is just jank.
This is dank. What do you think about that, Sam? This thing is dank.
It's jank.
You know what I mean? No caps, dead ass. Don't harsh my mellow though.
Don't harsh my mellow. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, hold your horses and don't harsh my mellow. This one is not new. This one is really, really old. Like way old. You know, hold your horses
Hold
and
your
don't
horses.
hold your horses meaning slow down. You know,
Yeah.
like but don't harsh my mellow meaning like don't mess up my mojo or my momentum, whatever I got going. Now I'm starting to speak like a bunch of these clowns from the Silicon Valley. Oh, what? I don't want to kind of kill the mojo. We're gonna crush it. We're gonna get it. We're out there.
I
We're
think
gonna
I recognize that one, but harsh in that doesn't sound right. But it sounds familiar.
harsh my mellow. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure in England people say some weird stuff too, right? Especially younger generation. But anyway, so let's just go back to this one. I just want us to agree on this part because this one is easy. We just want to go and say, okay, you said this is a word, then here's a range of things that a word can be. And if it falls out of that word, then we throw an exception. We basically go and say, sorry, I can't process this one, right?
Yeah.
And then you can go and say, I don't know, this is a word OData parameter, you know, you have a separator, maybe a space, and then you basically have a word that's a operator, and then maybe you have another space, and then you have what we call a literal. So what this comes down to is basically something like select equal. So I need a, what did we call equal, guys? Did we call it operation or something? Does anyone remember?
Just equals.
So this
Because
guy's
equals
actually
just is
separator.
equals.
Okay, so EQ equals, right? And then you have space and then separator and then space literal. And then that will translate to, you know, select equals space. Hold on. We need a literal in here and then operator and then space. So it would be name equal Sam, something like that.
You need a space in there after the literal, right?
Yeah, so literal space and then operator space and then literal.
Literal, yeah.
Can we agree on that, Cons? Because implementing that is easy. Sorry, Sam, you're muted. Go ahead, Sam.
Select, most time just select a property. It's just no
You want to call it a property?
operation in the dollar select. So your example 24, line 24.
I like it.
I'm
Maybe
okay.
you can change it to dollar filter.
Or maybe just call it parameter, because that's the actual query parameter, isn't it?
Because of the equal
Yeah.
sign, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
So then we can
Parameter.
just say parameter equals and then whatever.
I mean,
yeah.
What about the equals, the next token? Would that be better as assignment? Because equals operation and assignment are two separate things.
Well, we're not assigning here, are we? We're saying this
We are.
parameter is equal to this value. We're not assigning where the value is an expression, right?
I thought this. I thought how OData is that when you say $filter, you're setting up the nature of the operation. You're not really assigning anything. You're just setting up the nature of the operation.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Okay.
What should we call it, Sam? Parameter?
Parameter.
Why did you call it a property? I think properties is parameter assumes assignment, right, Paul?
Well, I would say you've got two literals in there, so you could
Yeah,
say
it
that the
does.
first literal was a property, but in order to identify that, you'd have to know some OData stuff, right?
Right. I'm okay with parameter if everyone is.
No, it could be identified, right? It's just
Identifier?
identified. Yeah.
Identifier of the operation that's about to happen?
Identified means any character without single quote or double quote wrapped, without any just like a variable name, in C#.
Oh, like a variable name.
Variable.
Yeah, variable. Got it.
Yeah, this is why I was saying to you, does the ampersand matter? Because if you split effectively your tokens on the ampersand, the first token is always going to be your identifier or your parameter.
Again,
think of it like a dictionary. It's your key, right? And then your value is whatever's after you. Sorry, Sam. Carry on.
Again, to line 24, $select equal blah blah equal. It doesn't make sense. Maybe
This doesn't
change
make this here.
$select only select a property, right? So we can change it.
Oh
using
yeah,
the
that's right. That's right. Filter. Yeah, yeah. I understand. Yeah, it's just, this is just the detail of it. I just trying to put a. Now my brain is in tokenization mode, but yeah, filter name equals Sam, right? So I hear three names. I hear parameter, property, and identifier. Is there any other suggestions?
So property typically is related to the OData perspective, right?
Okay.
If we at current stage, I remember you said we don't need to consider OData. The projection, there's no information about OData. So
Right.
how can we understand it's a property? So at current
can't.
stage, it's just an identifier or a parameter.
Okay, so you're giving
I
this.
like identifier after that explanation.
So you want to do so two identifier, Joe and Sam. Where are you at, Wordy? Voting.
Yeah, I'm not fussed either way. I think we should just agree on one and move on. Identifier is fine with me.
Yeah, I totally agree with Paul. Make decision, move on.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that you got. Okay, so this is okay. So you want to say they call this an identifier equals literal space operator space literal. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think that would work. So this is select equal. We don't have a separate. Oh, we have a. Did we called the we called the equal separator, right? So word separator, and then word, and then separator. Okay. And then you have a word, and then you have a separator, and then a bunch of, other things like word separator. We called these separators, right? So you have two separators in here after each other, and then after that word, at the very end, we basically went and said, here's another separator. Got it. And that basically turns into, if we agree on this model, so all of this turns into a literal. all of this turns into a space, word into an operator, separator into space, word into a literal, and then you have a separator, which is the equal, and then the word is the identifier. Love it. I love that flow of languages. That makes much more sense. Okay, so just something for the team to think about. You know, I'm okay if we want to make a special contract for this service. That's okay too. If you want to use the existing contract and elevate that contract, that's totally fine too, right? What I'm trying to kind of think about is that if this is your token, will this be, why do we have that in here? So that would be, would that still be part of your O token type, right? Would that be, or what we can do is that we can go and say, no, I can identify a completely different enum that could fit into this. I'm okay with this either way. Like you could go here and say one service only processes at this level, and then another service does that. My personal preference is to create a special contract for every service, right? Because if you create a special contract for every service, it becomes a lot easier. It's like DNA. You can actually identify where a contract is coming from based on the services are handling it or the flow that's handling it, right? Since the tokenization projection basically live exactly within the same domain and the same realm, I think that's okay. So just for the team, something to think about. Do you want to go here and say, oh, I'm going to do an identifier in here, and I'm going to do whatever the case may be, you know, you have an operator, you have a literal, and all that stuff, or you want to create an entirely new contract with new model type. Which direction you guys want to take?
I'm of the opinion that the first set that we produced are just tokens, and the second set are O tokens.
Okay.
It's
I'm
kind of
okay.
a bit more involved. But also, I'm not sure about using enums from an extensibility point of view.
Okay. I mean, you can always inherit and create a new set of enums, right?
Do enums support inheritance?
No. I mean, like you could go ahead, Joe.
They do technically. They inherit from either byte or int or something like that, but nothing more complex than that.
So you could go and say, I mean, we could try it. You could go here and say, here, this O token guy, I'm gonna go here and create public class OX token, right? And this inherits from O token like this.
Oh yeah.
I can go basically and say override, and I wanna, you know, I wanna basically work with some of these values in here. Why? Let's see why this guy's mad. There's no argument given that corresponds to it. Yeah, because of the gentleman that did that nice stuff in here. This is why we do anemic models. But anyway, dumbass. Anyway, so we can go here and say, you know, I don't know, I have my O token type in here, and this is my type, like this, and you can identify that however you want, and you can override that. Let's see what this guy is basically saying. Hide base member, generate constructor. Let's see if we can go, let's just experiment with it. So a public enum OX token type. And this OX token, we're just trying to test the extensibility of it, right? So OX token type. And this guy is A, B, C, which is a completely different set of things. And I want to go here and do that. Let's see if it freaks out. Yeah, there you go.
So what happens if you say OX token type is derived from O token type? Will it now accept that without you needing to redefine the property?
Now you're dreaming.
Yeah, so you lose your extensibility. But for the property to work on line 18 there, you'd have to use public new. Because what you're doing is you're re-implementing that property. So you'd say public new OX token type.
I see what you're saying. Well, you would need to go and say here's the O token type v2, and then include everything in the previous one plus the new ones.
Yeah, I guess my point to this was simply if O token type was what we wanted, but we just wanted to add a few more members, we don't get that choice. And let's say we wanted to implement a few extra members because we're replacing the tokenization service. I guess we're throwing the whole lot out anyway, aren't we? But then I don't know what that means with compatibility for the rest of the pipeline. So that was where my concern came in. By not using an enum, if it was just like an integer or a string, you don't have that problem. Anything can produce O tokens essentially and put any value in them, and then the pipeline can be defined however it's defined. But each stage in the pipeline deals with what it's capable of dealing with. Does that make sense?
Somehow you still need the enum to get the benefit of the strong type. Otherwise, you may as well just send down.
You can get around that. So make a new struct that has a name and a value, and then you can have a static constants static constants for all those in a static class. So you get your strong typing, and it can be added to. You can use reflection to collect all of them if you need to provide a list. So there's a lot of ways you can still make this extensible without binding yourself to enum.
I should just suffix that I don't think it matters at this point because we're still early on, but I think it will matter if we had, say, like parameter types as an enum or something when we get into the OData stuff.
Right.
Because if you want something above and beyond, say, select, filter, order by, etc., if that's defined as an enum, then it's not extensible. But if it's just a string value where you say this is my OData parameter type and I'm extending and I'm adding a new parameter type, then I can just add a different string value into that, but I can't do that with an enum. I guess that's my point here. But yeah, when it comes to tokenization and probably projection to some extent, we'll get away with it because it shouldn't be an issue.
All right. Let's start writing a failing test next session. Sam has to drop off as well. Thank you all for joining in today. I wish you all a good weekend, and thank you for your feedback. Talk to you guys later. Care.
Laters.